mentioned Luna something, I've forgotten already. Illness brain, where's it gone? I was like, oh my god! I'm not gonna want to yeet this to a window, am I?
Hey, oh, oh.
Hello friends, welcome to a spoiler-filled vlog of Crescent City. So, I started this spoiler-filled vlog after I'd read the first 5 chapters. Because I forgot to start it beforehand, so I want to catch you up. Before diving into this, I did not read the synopsis because I thought I knew what it was about. I obviously knew it was a girl called Bryce and a guy called Hunt. I knew he was a fallen angel, I knew she was half fae. And they were doing some kind of investigation which conveniently brought them together. I kind of knew that bit because right at the very top of the synopsis, which I didn't read, which credit to me, I didn't read because it would have spoiled something that happened right at the beginning of the book, which for me is probably why I cried. Because it builds you up at the beginning that she has this amazing relationship with Danica. It tells you about Danica, her best friend, and her devils, which are her pack, and it tells you about Danica's history. And I was thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. So she's not a total loner. Because a lot of these start with the protagonist being a loner. And yeah, I was totally hyped. So she was her best friend. Also, this is why you should read synopses, people. I knew something had happened. I didn't realise what. I didn't know how bad it was. I love that she like initially sort of like started agreeing to go on a date with Connor, and that was going to be a whole thing. I was kind of wondering how that would play out with the whole Hunt situation, because I knew that her and Hunt were a thing because of comments I've seen people make about this story. So I was wondering initially, like, how would Connor play into this? And then when she was on her way over from the club and it was talking about the things that she was feeling on the floor and just the whole atmosphere that was built up around the fact that she was crawling up the stairs, the amount of time it took for her to crawl up the stairs and get the keys to the flat, I either thought someone was going to jump out and attack her or something bad had happened. And then when it explained, when it showed you what had happened and that the whole pack was dead and her best friend was dead, that just shook me. Shooketh to the core I was. I didn't see it coming. Again, because I didn't read the synopsis, that is technically the second line of the synopsis, is that her best friend dies, her best friend is murdered. But I wouldn't have felt the impact of that death had I known prior to reading the book. I feel like I started to immediately like Danica when we started reading about her, but I feel like if I'd have read that on the synopsis that she died or was murdered, like, before I'd opened the book, I wouldn't have felt the impact of her death so much. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like the death of her best friend should be in the synopsis, really, because that hit me. I was like, whoa, shit, fuck, like slow down, Miss Sarah Jane Maasman, the dramatics, because as much as I love a fast-paced book, that was like in my face, and then I was shook. That's all I can say, as I didn't know what to think. And then she followed the bloody demon, didn't she? And then the whole thing where she was still totally high off her face, been slashed by the demon, and she was trying to save herself but save this angel guy, and it was all very emotional. Maybe I'm more emotional because I'm sick. To be fair, that could be it, because I sat and I cried at the holiday calendar film, as well as what other films did I cried at some cheesy Hallmark esque Netflix Christmas films. Maybe I'm more emotional because I'm sick, but this hit me so hard. So we're moving on to chapter 6, where I think she's been taken to, I've started chapter 6 already, she's been taken to the station, or some kind of station, to be interrogated, I'm guessing, or questioned, but, yeah, we'll see where we go from here. I'm loving it so far, but, my heart, please don't hurt me anymore, or at least give me a couple 100 pages, before you hit me like that again, okay, Sarah? Okay, we good? Brilliant, thanks. Hello friends. I'm probably gonna have to edit out like so many coughs from this clip, but I wanted to give you an update on Crescent City. We are now on Monday. Are we on Monday? I don't know what day it is. But I'm currently on page 200. And moves have been made, and I like it. I realised that I've not eaten properly for like almost 3 days, so stood up to get myself some food and a drink. Felt a bit dizzy and now I'm wondering why. It's probably because I've had no sustenance for like 3 days. Anyway, book, Crescent City. So I'm loving how fast paced it is. I really want to just dive straight into it. I just like, I'm eating it up so fast. Even though I'm not feeling well, I've just turned on the audio. My eyes are really sore, so I can't read physically at the moment. So I'm just audibly listening to this, because I was reading along initially, but the last day my eyes have been really sore. I've just been listening audibly, and I really enjoy it. I love the characters. Bryce, she's feisty. She's very feisty. She's very smart, but I'm just in a way I can kind of understand why she's keeping Hunt at a distance, but I don't understand why she's being such a twat to him, because I would have understood if it would be like, you girl. Even though he said it sort of like behind the back, she was a spoiled brat. It would be like, you spoiled little brat, whatever, you follow my lead, I tell you what to do, blah blah blah. I'd be like, yeah, Bryce, tell him you don't need him, and you know, you can do your own shit. But he's not done that. She's literally just been off with him and rude to him from the start. And yes, she's sassy, she's feisty, I can get she won't want to get close to people. She likes being by herself. She's lost her best friend, like was it 2 years have passed? I don't know. That bit is grating on me a little bit, because Hunt is there to help her and she's just trying to evade him at any given opportunity, and it's like she's been told that he's there to also protect her as well, because of her potential link between the attack on Danica and the Devils and the attack on this vampire guy, I can't remember his name, that she's somehow linked to both. And that could be something, it might not be something, but she's being very flagrant is that a word? She's been very frivolous with her own life, just to get one over on him, but she's got no reason to be like that with him, so I don't get that bit. But I like the fact that we found out that she is the sister of Rune. I mean, is her power more than what we think it is? Because, okay, I should have annotated this or tabbed this, because there are parts where it kind of gives the impression that when she's sort of like got angry and she's stirred at, I'm sure Hunt says at one point that kind of power for someone who's deemed to be a low level like her, it's unseen, like something along those lines. I really should have tabbed that bit, but again, eyes hurting. I'd have to find the page, but it's kind of giving the impression that she is more than what we think she is, that she might only be half fair, but with that king being her father, maybe the power inside of her isn't as weak as she's been led to believe. And also this starlight that, is it Rune? Yeah, so and this starlight that Rune is trying to like delve down deep to get, because he's supposed to be this star sword lord person. Is that anything to do with Bryce? I don't know. Is that anything to do with the story? Possibly. I just feel like it only focused on it for a little bit at the time, but it was basically saying that he is supposed to be this great wielder of this sword, yet he can't pluck out the starlight the way that previous wielders of this sword could. He's not as powerful in that respect, even though he is very powerful. That it's just that, the fact that they focused on that, and also the fact that we haven't really got to the bottom of. It's hinting at Bryce having more abilities than we think she does. That might also play a part in the fact that, you know, we've now found out she's his daughter. Is it all tied together with a really trying to get to her and not to the wolves? I'm guessing this might be a chosen one thing. That might be it. 'Tis just a thought in the noggin that came up whilst I was listening. But I'm still loving it. I'm dying, but I've already had like a glass of this. Whenever I feel sick, I feel like I just overdose on vitamin C. Peace out, brothers and sisters. I will speak to you soon. Hello, friends. I'm coming in with another update on this bad boy, and it looks like I'm about halfway through. Are we halfway through? Nearly. Almost. Maybe. Chapter 38. On to part 2 called The Canyon. And there's been some revelations. I still think that Bryce has way more to do with this, and her heritage is way more entwined with this than we're being led to believe. So it's very much focused on Rune and his Star Lord, star gifted power thing. And it's just, it keeps going back to like how she was called a half-breed, and her father was disappointed in how lacking in magic she was. He wants to bring Fae magic back, and it's weakened, and it keeps going about how weak Fae magic is, and that's why he wants this horn thing. So the last time we spoke, I can't remember what we were discussing, but Hunt pulled a dick move. When I said before, he wasn't being like authoritative and being like, you do as I say kind of thing. He then pulled rank on her, and any normal person in your brain would think she walked in and saw all her friends and her best friend dead, ripped to shreds 2 years prior to this, and there's another murder. So what we're going to do, we're going to force her to go to said murder scene and see what some serial killing freak has done, just in case she's not traumatised enough. And I mean, I know she's put on this very much of like a facade, like, I'm a bad bitch, whatever, but even so, would you? And that to me was like, dick move, hun, dick move. So obviously, inevitably, she froze up again. It's not the first time she's frozen up with anything to do with this, which again, I don't understand why I didn't see this coming, and that she wasn't saying she didn't want to go because she was being a brat, because she literally saw her friend mutilated and then had her hand stuck in someone else's chest straight after, whilst being attacked by this crystal, whatever it was, demon. Like, I mean, that's not a trauma you get over, especially when she's clearly not been to therapy. Anyway, that backfires on him, clearly. Rune does his whole protective cousin thing. She wanders off, goes to the Raven Club, and then it gets blown up. Woo! And then that is also now being tied to these murders and the horn and their investigation. Something in my gut, in my gut is saying she is way more powerful than she's been led to believe, and they keep going on about the fact that she hasn't made the drop. When you make the drop, from what I understand, you come into your full powers, But because she's half fae, they're obviously not gonna assume that she's not gonna come into like full fairy power. But I think that may be where they underestimated her. And also the fact that, I don't know, it's when the way that they're having to tell her to calm down when she like gets overwhelmed, like things start happening around her. Like, you don't make things like that happen and people feel things like that around you when you're not very powerful. The one thing that they do in books is when someone's really powerful, it's like the air around them is powerful as well. And that kind of seems to be what she does when she gets like heightened emotions. Why are people not... Is it just me? Is it in my head? By the end of this vlog we shall know. But for me, it's just kind of like... It's kind of obvious, but then again, if it's not that, then I'm just reading into things that aren't there. I'm just confused in my own brain. Which doesn't take much, to be fair. Also, I'm poorly, so if I'm wrong, I'll blame it on that. The fact that I'm not well. So, we've now got that past that bit. They've both broken down some of those walls and told each other some things that are a bit personal, and they get a bit closer. Touches are lingering. Eyes, the looks are lingering. So it's getting to that. I like the fact that we are on chapter 38 and it hasn't gone straight from immediately disliking each other to the next chapter being in each other's beds. I like the fact that it's a very slow, I'll say very slow, slowish burn. It's clearly obvious from the beginning that there was, well actually it wasn't. You can, I'm sure that there was like an acknowledgement that she was pretty, but both of them were very judgmental towards each other at first. So I think that would have like masked any potential attractiveness to each other. That makes no sense, but you know what I mean. So now that they start to get to know each other, they start to realise, oh yeah, she's actually quite pretty. Oh, she's actually quite strong. Oh, he's actually quite handsome. Oh, he's actually not an alpha. I love how she calls them alpha holes. But she's coming to this with a massive chip on her shoulder. There's bitten her in the ass, I think, quite a lot, to be fair. We'll come in with baggage and we'll just have to see where it goes. So, after the bombing, they found, they did more investigations. They went to Luna something. I've forgotten already. Illness brain, where's it gone? They went to this place, I can't remember what it was, to talk to Rune, Hunt and Bryce. They're kind of like a little tag team now. They're kind of like working reluctantly, or less reluctantly, working together, but they're still a bit of like holding back. I love it when they're around Rune and like Bryce will just make a comment and Hunt will be just like, yeah, I agree. You're a twat. But yeah, I think those are as a group together, they're gonna work well together. I think. I'm hoping that Rune doesn't turn out to be some bad guy or get turned into some kind of evil person. I hope those three stay as like it's not a partnership, is it? What is it? It's a group. It's a trio. It's the Three Musketeers. I think they can work well together despite the differences. So I hope that continues and that isn't broken up by anything or anyone. Anyone being the Autumn King, who seems like an absolute douche-lord. Can't see it being a bad thing if he did die, to be quite frank. Seems like a horrible person. My concerns is that, yes, bad things are still happening, but I think they're getting too far ahead. Nothing severe to have happened again yet. So other people are dying, but other people we don't know, other people we've not met. Obviously, when the Raven Club blew up, Jupiter was there. She didn't get hurt because Bryce threw herself on her friend to save her, which made the Fawn a little bit annoyed because the Fawn had made the drop. But again, they need to understand what she's lost. I feel that sometimes that's missing from the story. It's the fact that other people forgetting that she's lost all of the people that she was closest to in one night and has never dealt with that. And it's so easy for people to forget. And I want to know where this Fury, is it Fury? Is that a name? I can't remember. Her friend that suddenly disappeared and hasn't returned phone calls, things like that. I want to say her name's Fury. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself. She hasn't been mentioned a lot, but her absence has been noted a couple of times. Hunt's now questioning whether what he did in his rebellion was similar to what this Phillips guy is doing. So Phillips has his own beliefs that, you know, about humans and their place in this whole hierarchy of people. And obviously humans don't have magic, so they're not deemed very high on the hierarchy per se. So Hunt's questioning whether or not the rebellion that he did with Shah, Hunt's starting to question whether his love for Shah clouded his judgment, and whether what he did was a mistake, whether he's the same person as this Phillips Briggs guy. Is it Philip Briggs? I made the first name up. It's Briggs anyway. It's not Phillips, it's Briggs. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. There's just something. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like this Philip Briggs guy also hinted that Danica was a sympathiser of this revolution that these humans are trying to undertake, and all the bombings and things that are going on, and that Danica was a sympathiser, which could potentially be why how she's got herself into trouble, which Bryce doesn't obviously want to believe, because obviously she was so close to Danica. Danica didn't say anything. Oh, we've also been told that the horn can be repaired. We thought it couldn't, but it can be repaired, but it's by something that's not magic and something that is not light. There's something magic that's not magic and light that's not light. I think that's the thing that it says. So basically it's just another riddle for us to find. So we're still looking for the horn that's currently broken, as far as we know, that we thought couldn't be repaired but can be repaired. And that is something that Oracle told Hunt. Hunt also, I was not shocked actually, but Hunt refused the Oracle's gift, offering to tell him what his future holds. He refused that. He said he didn't want to know. He also told her that he didn't want to know what was said to Bryce, or what Bryce's future holds for her. When the Oracle looked at her future, why did she have such a visceral reaction? So the Oracle started screaming, and she was blinded for a week after Bryce went to see her. Rude lied to his dad. Basically, the Oracles told him that he's the last of this line. He told his dad something different. Again, it leads me to believe that once Bryce makes the drop, she's going to come back so powerful. And I bet your Hunt's going to be her anchor. Because you've got to have someone to anchor you, haven't you? So you don't die. And she wanted hers to be Connor. Danica's was going to be Thorn, obviously. You know, pairings. But I think that maybe near the end of this book, maybe, if not the end of this book, when she does decide to make a drop, whatever that is, I think Hunt's going to be her anchor. Prediction is, she is more powerful than we all think she is. I think she's going to make the drop to help defeat this evil demon person. I think that the prophecy where it said Rude's going to be the end of that line, I think that might be because he might not create any more heirs, but Bryce might. But she technically would be the end of their line. It would be the start of Hunt's line, wouldn't it? So it would technically be the end of their Fae line. It would start off with a new mixture of Fae and something else. I don't know whether he's infertile or whether females are not for him. We'll have to see about that. So yeah, I'm gonna listen to some more of this while I bullet journal, and I will see you soon. Hello friends, I'm coming at you. I don't know why I'm coming at you this late, Well, I do. I tried to do some bullet journaling. I'm bullet journaling right now. I'm trying to do my January spreads. Well, not even my January spreads, my 2022 spreads. And I just sat and listened to Crescent City, and it ended. The last conversation we had was chapter 38, and now we're on chapter 68. So let's review. Bryce and Thorn, it's not Thorn, Hunt were getting pretty dang close. And there was still a bit of angst there. They still weren't admitting any kind of potential feelings that were growing for each other, which were all, ooh, lovely. Can I just say, LaHama is such a cutie, and if she turns out to be some kind of evil spy for Jessica, I'll be seriously pissed off. Because LaHama is just so cute. The little chimera, so cute. They've done a lot of research, and she seems to be she was letting Rune in a bit more to help with the investigation. They did stupidly accuse Sabine of being the murderer of Danica though, which I think was a bad move. And I knew before they even accused her of being the murderer that as soon as that came out, as soon as they voiced that to her, shit was gonna go down for Hunt. It's not been kept quiet, has it? And it's not been like pushed under the radar or anything. Micah clearly hates Hunt and will do anything to get back at him. Sort of, Bryce dismisses his advances. He sends Hunt out on some kind of job to kill someone, knowing how it affects Hunt. And then, what's the other reason why he did it? They've done something else that Micah didn't like, and he sent Hunt on another mission. But then when he came back, him and Bryce had this whole suite. She was looking after everything, and you know, they all got comfy cozy close. Say that we've got to chapter 68, and there was only just had some steamy action. I was quite surprised. I think that was a good amount of time to leave it. I do feel like if they'd have continued it, if she'd have continued being very angsty and nothing would have happened between them in this first book, it would have been slightly anticlimactic and really kind of annoying as well. So on the one hand, that is good. I liked that. The whole introduction of the synth being this thing that can heal the horn, and then linking that back to Danica, and then Danica being accused of stealing the horn, and then we not knowing whether Danica was good or bad, or like what her part to play this was. I was all very like tense about that. I didn't want it to be anything bad against Danica, and as bad as it sounds, the way that I would have preferred it to have gone would have been that Sabine or the Viper Queen did it. Probably would have been the most predictable option, given the fact that Sabine openly dislikes her child, and the fact that the Viper Queen is the Viper Queen. She's a bit of a twat, isn't she? So the fact that if Danica was involved in this synth and stopping this synth from being distributed, that, you know, Dark Market Viper Queen has something to do with, it would make sense that the Viper Queen would then want her dead. And it would also make sense that she would have alibis, because, you know, money pays for a lot of things. Even though Sabine was still vehemently denying that she would have anything to do with her child's death. And even though she thought she was lazy and, you know, she let her thoughts be known about what she thought about Danica. Danica is now living in shame with the Underking because Bryce sacrificed her place for Danica. I don't know why she did that. I'm trying to think. Just because she did like pies and stuff, Bryce didn't know initially that Danica did what she did. So the fact that she then went to the Underking and still begged for Danica to take her spot, I still don't fully understand why that happened. It's a bit strange, because she was a good, as far as Bryce was concerned, yes, she had her flaws, but she was a good person. So that was a bit confusing for me. But it kind of, I think that was kind of used in a not such a great way, like a plot device, because it's another way for Bryce to feel bad about herself now, because now that it's come to light that Danica was a drug addict and she was on synth, she took too much, killed her pack and then herself, by the looks of the evidence at the moment, Bryce is just going to feel worse about herself now, isn't she? She now knows Danica's going to be living, well, not living, she's going to be with the Underking eternally. Shameful. The revelation that Danica was a drug addict, we knew she was a party girl anyway, so it's not that far-fetched. Also, I think it's a little bit of a, is it a cop-out? I don't know. I don't know if I want to call it a cop-out. I just don't think that, I'm not liking the way that this has turned out so far. I'm not liking the fact that Hunt, despite seeing what Bryce had been through, despite helping her through her pain, physical pain of like the witch pulling out the venom from this woman's leg, the fact that he's seen and gone through all that with her, and then even though he said that he was going to try and stop the exchange, he was going to be buying scythe so that he could take it and overthrow Micah and the Archangels and give them the freedom. It was just very, I don't understand. This is where it's kind of getting confusing for me, because he's been told it will reduce his debt down to 10 if he can solve this crime. So all he had to do was, I know that 10 more deaths could have been spanned over many a year, and I do understand that. He solved the case. They've still not solved the case of the horn and all that stuff, but they've solved this bit of it, like, which is a massive chunk, which is just, you can put it to rest then, can't you? I don't understand why you would risk it again when you're this close to having 2,000 deaths removed from your tally. I don't know, I feel like there might be another twist to come, and if there isn't, this is still going to be a 5-star read for me, I think, because I've still really enjoyed every single bit of this. I'm just disappointed with how this is going at the moment. It basically is that Danica was a drug addict that took too much. She was already powerful, so she didn't need to take this to make her more powerful. So as, you know, in line to be the next Prime, already one of the most powerful wolves, to be part of the alpha of one of the most powerful pack. Why? I don't understand why you would risk that over some drugs. I feel like this is a case of they're trying to put something on her because she's dead and she can't defend herself. It was doing so well. I mean, unless this ending really sucks ass, it's gonna stay a 5-star, because I've enjoyed every single part of it up to this bit. It's just that a couple of these things, it just seems a tad too convenient. I believe Hunt still did what he did because he's an idiot and didn't think with his grey matter. But the whole Danica situation and her killing her and her pack, that for me just screams that she's being used as a scapegoat. And if that is the actual truth, bad move, Savage Ass. I'm hoping it stays a 5-star thing. I'm hoping this is just a little blip. Little blip. I'm not going to want to yeet this through a window, am I? Just want to throw that out there. If in the next books the love interest changes, I'll also be very disappointed. Because you can't just change like that. That's not fair. Anyway, we shall see. Wow. Okay. So, wow. Did not see that coming when I first started reading this book. Wow. So, what I thought was correct, Danica wasn't just a drug addict that overdosed and killed herself and her pack. She didn't end up killing herself and her pack, but it's because Micah is the bad guy. I mean, we all knew Micah was a bad guy anyway, didn't we? To be fair, I didn't know he was this bad. Everybody knows that Rune is... I can't remember the last time I updated you, to be fair. What was it? Chapter 60 something? I really need to keep track of the last time I updated you. We're almost near the end. So I think the last time I updated you was when Hunt had been caught and taken away. So then he's now been given back to Sandrian and taken away to have done whatever is to be done with him, tortured for the rest of his life. And then obviously Bryce tried to sell herself to save him and buy him, and nothing worked. I honestly didn't know after that had happened, because the next book has Hunt on the front, so I'm assuming it follows Hunt more than everybody else, or maybe that's just a ruse, I don't know. But there was still quite a few chapters after that, so I didn't know what was going to happen. I was hoping that Danica, being this drug-crazed addict who just overdosed and killed herself in a pack, I was hoping that wasn't a thing. I was hoping that wasn't true. But I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I was just reading these chapters and this whole summit, finding out that the Medi-Witch that Rune was asking to help them with the synth who pulled the venom out of Bryce's leg is the queen that Rune has also been. His dad wants Rune to marry, who's trying to arrange a marriage with. I can't remember if I mentioned that before. But yeah, this Medi-Witch. I knew there was something different about her, but I didn't expect that. I actually expected her to be maybe a sneaky bad guy that's trying to hide in the good guys, but no, she's actually a queen. Yes, queen. Which has been interesting because she's standing up to Sandriel, and people are shooketh. And everyone's kind of thinking that something's going to go Sandriel Micah's way, as it seemingly by reading this always does, because they don't like backing down to anyone. But this queen seems to be holding her own, which I really like. Queen Hypaxia, that's her name. She's actually Queen Hypaxia. And it kind of, if I'd have thought about it earlier, I probably would have put it together, because it kept mentioning that since the other queen died, her daughter, who was going to become the queen, had been sort of like keeping a low profile, because there's so many sort of like other things that were kind of more important to think about. Those kinds of little Easter eggs that were thrown in there, I didn't really pay attention to. I didn't think it was that much of a big deal that was being mentioned, but clearly it was a big deal, because, you know, keeping a low profile, she was also healing people. I was surprised, but also not surprised that Micah did what he did, and is really the true bad guy. That whole scene in the library was just so tense. I really thought that Syrinx was going to die. But for Syrinx to survive, then LaHaba to sacrifice herself to save Syrinx and Bryce, and then at the last minute even Bryce to just be like, I bought you and you are free, I made a deal with Jessica, like at the last minute while she's sacrificing herself for her friends. Jesus Christ, I'm a sucker for soppy stuff. That is the soppiest of all soppy. And then say they loved each other at the end. Oh Jesus Christ, a bicycle. Oh my god. Oh, I've just been sat sobbing like an absolute pleb. So I'm going to read the last couple of chapters now. So on chapter 80, I say a couple. There's about 17 chapters left, but they're all small. So look, there's about 100 pages left. I'm going to finish reading this, and then that'll be another book ticked off my list of books to read in January. I think I might give this. I think this is going to be a 5 stars. For me, it's not perfect. You know, I think there's only been a couple of books where I just thought, yes, they're perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. There were a few questionable decisions, but I think that those decisions are made to throw you off. That's my thought process anyway. Those decisions are made to sort of throw me off and make me think. I was really hoping it wasn't going to end the way that it was, like Danica being a drug addict, because I would not have been happy with that. And I'd been like, nope, don't think I want to read the second one if you're just gonna, the party girl's gonna end up being a drug addict. Like, just didn't sit with me, didn't sit right with me, and I'm just so happy that that's not the case. That's just, and the fact that not on top of that, not only was she not a drug addict, she was trying to stop Micah, and she was trying to protect her best friend. So she inked the horn into her back with the tattoo. I was just like, that's ingenious forethought. Knew that Bryce wasn't as strong. Even if Bryce and Hunter had just stayed friends, this would have still been a 5-star. Like, the romance element of this wasn't necessarily needed, if in all fairness. Don't get me wrong. The couple of little, like, bow chicka wow wow scenes that we had, slightly steamy, were alright, but this for me would have been good to just have as a book that was just about friendship. This for me would have been good as a book that was just had familial relationships in and friendships, and it would kind of make sense. So it starts off with best friends. LaHaba saves Bryce as a friend. It would have worked just as well if it had just been friendships throughout the book. They didn't need the Hunt and Bryce relationship. Not that I don't ship it. I'm not saying that I don't ship it. It would be a good pairing, but I'm just saying it wouldn't have lost anything for me if there hadn't been any sexual relationships. Also, can I just say the narrator, Elizabeth Evans, she also is the narrator for the Throne of Glass series, and she's also one of the narrators on Six of Crows. Do you know what? I recognised her voice. She's a great voice actor, and I love the fact that on Audible you can flick through things that she's narrated before. And I'm not saying that the books themselves are going to be brilliant, because if the book isn't great, then her narration, but I'm going to have a look through the other books that she's narrated after this. Yeah, anyway, off on a tangent. It was brilliant. I'm going to do the rest and come back. It's gonna be 5 stars. I just really enjoyed it. The one thing I will say is that the way this has ended, I'm not sure where we're gonna go from here at all, because it does sort of hint at the end, like, you know, this is the end of whatever, something else is coming. But let's review. Sarah J. Maas, just from what I've heard of her writing, because obviously I haven't read the Throne of Glass series, I've read the ACOTAR series, and I've obviously started reading this series, but from the ACOTAR series, I kind of got a feeling anyway that Sarah J. Maas is not the kind of person who will kill off her main characters. The one exception to that possibly would be LaHaba, because although she wasn't the main character, she was still a prominent character in Bryce's life. But I feel like if everybody would have gone out of this totally unscathed, it would have been a bit too perfect of an ending. So yeah, that was, I kind of thought that she wouldn't kill off Hunt. I mean, for one, his picture is on the front of the second book anyway, but I didn't know how it was going to end, whether it was going to end with them finally resolving this issue with the demons and the gates and then suddenly being split up again. But I don't like this new angel. What's his name? How did she say it in the audio? It's Rigelio or Rigello? Is that how she pronounced his name? Rigelus. I think he's going to be trouble coming in book 2. But Hunt is free. Totally free. His crown tattoo is gone. He's now got a C instead of the SQDP. Slave tattoo on him. But that comes at a price, doesn't it? So we all know that if Sandriel and Micah are anything to go by, the Archangels are all 2 bars, and the fact that they were going to bomb the whole of Crescent City with Bryce in it just because of how powerful she was, just goes to show that the Archangels are not, and they are very power hungry. I don't know what her dad's going to do. Sperm donor. We don't know what sperm donor Autumn King's going to do we? He's left a lot of things tied up. He tied a lot of things up, which I'm glad about. One thing I will say is that it took a long time to get to where we needed to with this book. So a lot of it was the setup, but again, it's a series. I'd have been annoyed if this was a standalone, or the way that it wrapped up so quickly near the end. But I will say a lot of it was build up. The whole between the opening of the gates and then closing of the gates and everything happening, like the big drama of the opening of the gates, everything in that sort of space seemed very quick. It was very quickly resolved. But I was right. I can't remember how far ago I said this, but I did say I thought she was the light that her brother thought he was. It turns out I'm kind of half right. They're both stab on. I just feel like it was bound to happen. But I've said this so many times, and I will say this till my dying breath. Certain tropes, I don't mind being done over and over and over and over again, as long as it's done well. As long as the writing, the characters, mostly for me the characters are writing. The plot, I can do with a plot, it's fine. But I will not want to follow the plot if the characters are pure trash and I can't get behind any of the characters. If they're not well written, they're not well rounded, and if the world isn't well thought out, I can't get. That plot means absolutely nothing to me. So give me great characters, great writing, and as long as it's done well, a trope can work out. Her being like the chosen one, I kind of knew was coming. You probably already knew it was coming, even if you haven't read it. Although if you're watching this, I'm sure you should have read it by now. If you're watching this and you spoiled yourself for it, I am sorry. You shouldn't have done that. You should have read it first. I'm guessing you're only watching this if you've already read Crescent City. For me, it was kind of obvious that she was going to be the one that saved everything, and that it was going to turn out that she had the star, like the light inside her, and she was stronger than people assumed her to be. And it turns out the one thing that I didn't count on is the fact that she knew of the power inside her. She says it's just light. It's not just light, obviously. It closed hell gates, 7 of them. I didn't bank on that. I didn't expect her to know. I thought it would be as much of a shock to her as it was the reader. However, turns out her and her parents and Danica already knew. But that just made it click in my head when she said light it up. She literally meant light it up. I was like, oh my god. Yeah. yeah, that whole thing with her and Danica and the drop and the ascending, and although Hunt wasn't her anchor, he did help bring her back. I didn't expect Danica to be the one that she was hoping to anchor her at the drop, obviously because she was dead. I knew she'd end up coming out of it fine because SGM does not kill off her main characters. So, yet. She hasn't as yet. It will get 5 stars because my intrigue was peaked. Characters were great. Hunt, I really like. Rune, I like. Declan and Flynn, they were side characters, but I feel like they were good side characters. Like, at one point, I thought that when, was it Flynn? Saved her from the Crystallos, and the Crystallos attacked her. And then I thought that SGM was going to be like, she was going to end up somehow getting Bryce to turn heads and suddenly start something with one of Rune's people, like Declan or Flynn. I was hoping that was not the case. I'm hoping that's still not the case. I hope she doesn't change love interest. She does that in Throne of Glass as well, is that she changes love interest, which I don't like. The one thing I don't like love triangles. I don't like the cheating trope. I don't like messy relationships. I really don't. I don't understand how they help the plot at all. In the end, it was the platonic relationship between Danica and Bryce that like drove this whole story. To sort of, I did wholly enjoy it. Yeah, it's not perfect. There were a few things like at the beginning when she first started treating Hunt like a bit of a piece of crap when he hadn't actually done anything wrong. That was a bit ridiculous, but yeah, I kind of understand she was dealing with some mental health issues. And one thing I don't understand about people when, if you've read this, like really read this, I don't understand how you can say that Sarah J. Maas does not have good representation of mental health issues. I know people's mental health journeys are different. Not one person's mental health journey is going to be exactly the same as the next person. But you can't tell me that this has not been dealt with in a good way. Like, has been represented in a good way, in a delicate way, in a sensitive way. If you've read this book and think it's just pure smut, then you've read absolutely none of this book. And if I see anybody mentioning that this kind of book, that this book is just pure smut, or it's just fairy smut, or fairy trash, whatever, then you've clearly just jumped on a bandwagon and you have not read the book. 10 out of 10, do recommend. 5 stars from me. I'm looking forward to reading House of Sky and Breath now. When House of Sky and Breath comes out, I will be doing a spoiler review of that as well. Now I'm going to stay here and edit. But I'm best to cut this down to a reasonable time. But you all know me, my vlogs are long. I will see you all very soon in the next spoiler-filled vlog. I still need to put my Aka War vlog up as well. So, wish me luck with that. Any books that come to mind, series, please link them down below because I'm looking for more books to do dedicated vlogs on. And yes, so any that interest you, that you feel like you would like to hear my thoughts on, then please let me know and I will see you all very soon.